This podcast is produced by the Harwood Productions Podcast Network. To learn more about the network and to find more of our shows, visit us online at www.harwoodpodcast.com.
Hi, I'm Cindy Harris. In this episode, I'm going to share with you my recipe for Mississippi mud cupcakes. Mississippi mud is known for being a really rich chocolate. So I've taken that idea, made it a cupcake, topped it with some toasted marshmallows, a great chocolate glaze, and then of course, some southern chopped pecans. Well, these cupcakes have to start with some Mississippi mud, which in this case is chocolate, specifically semi-sweet chocolate. So I've taken 3/4 of a cup of semi-sweet chocolate chips, and I'm going to put these in the microwave on 30-second bursts. I'm going to make sure to stir it after each 30 seconds until they're nice and melted. Now it's been a minute and a half in the microwave in the 30-second burst, and this chocolate is nice and melted, so I'm just going to set that aside. Then over at my mixer, I'm going to take 4 tablespoons of butter, and I've made it into little cubes. I'm going to put that in along with 1 cup of brown sugar, and I'm going to let these mix together till they get nice and fluffy, which will take about 2 minutes. I'm going to turn the mixer down to a low speed, and I'm going to add 2 eggs. And I want to make sure that those eggs get really well mixed in. Now once they're mixed in well, I'm going to turn the mixer off, and I'm going to take my melted chocolate and I'm going to put that in. And I'm going to let that mix together for about another minute or so. Now in a small bowl, I'm going to get my dry ingredients together. So I'm going to start by using a cup of flour, a 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And then with my little whisk, I'm going to whisk that together. Now before I put my dry ingredients in the mixer, there's a couple of other ingredients I need to get together. The first one is a 1/2 cup of sour cream. Now I'm using a light sour cream, but you can use whatever you've got on hand, and a 1/2 cup of hot water, and in the hot water I'm going to put 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Now we're going to put everything together. So I'm going to start with the mixer off. I'm going to put 1/2 of my dry ingredients in, and I'm going to put this on a low speed and let it run. And then right away I'm going to take 1/2 of my sour cream and put that in. Then once I see that's come together, I'm going to put the rest of my flour and the rest of my sour cream. Now this is already coming together really nicely. So then I'm going to take my hot water and vanilla, and I'm going to slowly pour that in. Now I'm going to let this mix around until I see that that water and vanilla has totally incorporated into the batter. And that is about it. Next, it's real important that we give this batter a scrape down, and you'll really see if there's any sour cream hanging around the edges. Now these make 12 cupcakes, so I've got my cupcake pan out, and I'm going to line these with some paper liners. Now it's all about dividing this batter up into these 12 muffin cups. So what I do is I put 1 sort of medium scoop in the middle of each of the wells like this. And once there's a little bit of batter in all 12 pans, then I'll go back and add some more. Don't make the mistake of trying to eyeball the batter at the very beginning. It's really hard, and you might end up with fewer cupcakes than you like. So start off by giving all 12 a little bit of batter and then divide the rest of it up as you go. Now I've preheated my oven to 350 degrees, and I'm going to put these in and let them bake for 18 minutes. Now while the cupcakes are baking in the oven, I want to take a moment and measure out about 1.5 cups of these little miniature marshmallows. And the reason is, as soon as the cupcakes come out of the oven, we're going to be putting some of these right on top of the hot cupcakes, so I want to have those ready to go. Look at how beautiful these cupcakes are. Now I want to take a toothpick, make sure that they're done all the way through. That comes out nice and clear, so these are perfect. Now I'm going to take the marshmallows and I'm going to carefully place them right on top of each of the cupcakes. I'm putting 10 or 12 little marshmallows on top, just like this. Now once I have marshmallows on all of the cupcakes, I'm going to pop these back into the oven. It's been on the same temperature the whole time for about 4 or 5 minutes, and what's going to happen is the marshmallows are just going to begin to melt and start to get a little golden brown on top. Now you can see the marshmallows have started to melt together, which is just great. And then if we get real close, you can see there's just this light brown on them, which really makes the marshmallow taste fantastic, I think. So now what I'm going to do is let these sit in the pan for about 5 minutes. Now while the cupcakes are cooling, we need to make our chocolate glaze. So in a small saucepan, I'm going to take 4 tablespoons of butter. And to that, I'm going to add 1.5 tablespoons of cocoa powder. Now I use a Dutch processed cocoa powder because my grocery store is now carrying it. But if you can't find Dutch processed, you can use a Hershey's cocoa, and that will work just fine. And then I'm also going to add 3 tablespoons of milk. Now I've put this on a medium-high heat on the stove, and I'm going to want to bring this mixture to a boil. I'm using a whisk to kind of get that cocoa mixed in, and this will come in handy as we finish off the glaze as well. So move that butter around, get it melted, and then we'll bring this up to a boil. Now as you can see, it's coming up to a boil real fast. So at this point, I'm going to bring it off of the heat. And to it, I'm going to add 1 cup of powdered sugar and 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla. And I'm going to whisk that together real good. And you can see that gets nice and smooth. And then we're ready to put this on our cupcakes. Now we're going to go ahead and get the rest of our toppings on our cupcakes. I'm going to use a rimmed baking sheet with a piece of parchment on top. That way, as I finish the cupcakes, they're easy for me to move around. But I need to get the cupcakes out of the muffin pan onto the parchment. Now to help the cupcakes release out of the pan, I have this great little paring knife, and I'm going to take it and just run it right along the edge of the cupcake, just like this. Then I can take my fork and pop it right out and put it on my parchment. Now I've taken my whisk out of my glaze and I've switched to a large spoon. And I'm going to give that a little stir because as this cools, the glaze does thicken up a little bit. And then I'm just going to go and drizzle some of this glaze on top of each of the cupcakes. Now you'll see I'm not coating the entire thing. I want to be able to see those marshmallows peek out. But I just want to put a little bit of glaze on top. These look fantastic. Yummy. Now this glaze, you're going to probably have some left over. Just put it in a container in the refrigerator. You can drizzle it on ice cream, or you could probably put it even in milk and make chocolate milk. And then take your chopped pecans and sprinkle that on top. No dessert is really Southern unless it has pecans in it somewhere. Well, I don't think Mississippi mud has ever tasted so good. If you'd like to give these cupcakes a try at home, just go to our website and visit the Cupcake show notes, and I'll have the recipe there for you. And as always, if you have any questions, send me an email. I'll see you next time.